Picture this. Final minute. Score tied. Every eye in the stadium is on you. Your heart is hammering. Your legs feel like concrete. And somewhere in the back of your head, a voice whispers, "What if you fail?" Most athletes freeze right there. Not because they lack skill, but because they don't know what to do with that pressure. Today, we're going back 2 years to find the answer. Because the Stoics solved this problem long before sports psychology had a name. Here's the trap most competitors fall into. They treat pressure as the enemy. They try to fight it, suppress it, breathe it away. But pressure isn't the problem. Your relationship to pressure is the problem. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, and one of the greatest Stoic thinkers who ever lived, led armies, governed millions, and faced catastrophe after catastrophe. And what did he write in his private journal? You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The Stoics had a concept they called amor fati, love of fate. Not acceptance, not tolerance, love. The idea that difficulty isn't something happening to you. It's something happening for you. Epictetus, a man who was born a slave and had every reason to crumble, taught that there are only two categories in life: things inside your control and things outside it. Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens. In that high-pressure moment, the crowd noise, the scoreboard, whether the referee makes a fair call, none of that is in your column. But your next movement, your next breath, your next decision, completely yours. This is the mental shift that separates elite performers from everyone else. Not that they feel less pressure, they just stop wasting energy on things that were never theirs to control. There's a third Stoic concept worth naming here: premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity. Before a big game, a Stoic athlete doesn't just visualize success. They mentally rehearse the moment it gets hard, the missed shot, the bad bounce, the hostile crowd, and they ask, "Can I handle that?" The answer, almost always, is yes. So how does this actually look in practice? 3 things to take into your next competition. 1. Narrow your focus. When pressure spikes, your brain wants to zoom out to worst-case scenarios. Force it back to the smallest controllable unit. This rep, this step, this breath, that's your arena. Name the sensation, not the story. Instead of, "I'm nervous and I'm going to mess this up," try, "I feel activated. My body is ready." Same physiological signal. Completely different meaning. 3. Pre-game adversity rehearsal. Spend 5 minutes before competition, quietly imagining things going wrong. Sit with it. Then remind yourself what you'll do. You're not inviting failure, you're stripping it of its power to surprise you. Pressure isn't your opponent. Pressure is the arena where character gets built. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. The Stoics didn't pray for easier lives. They trained for harder ones. So the next time the moment gets heavy, don't run from it. Step into it. That's where you find out what you're made of. Let me ask you something honest. How many times have you waited to feel motivated before you started training? Waited for the energy, the spark, the right mood, and then watched the day disappear without a single rep done? We live in an era obsessed with motivation. Highlight reels, pump-up playlists, pre-workout mantras. And yet, the athletes who actually dominate over the long run, they're not more motivated than you. They've just stopped relying on it. Today, we dig into one of the oldest athletic truths in history. The Stoics figured this out before the gym even existed. Here's the uncomfortable truth about motivation. It's an emotion. And like every emotion, it comes and goes completely on its own schedule. Some mornings you wake up fired up. Most mornings, you don't. If your training depends on how you feel, your results will look exactly like your feelings: inconsistent, unpredictable, and ultimately disappointing. The Stoics had a word for this trap. They called it being ruled by your passions. Not passions in the modern sense, but unexamined, emotional states that drive your behavior without your consent, and they considered it the single greatest obstacle to a well-lived life. Or, in our case, a well-trained one. Marcus Aurelius woke up every morning as the most powerful man in the world and still had to talk himself out of bed. He wrote this to himself in his private journal. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work. As a human being, what do I have to complain of if I'm going to do what I was born for? He didn't wait to feel inspired. He reminded himself of his purpose and moved anyway. That's the Stoic engine. Not feeling, but function. Epictetus pushed this further. He taught that virtue, excellence in action, is not something you feel your way into. It's something you choose repeatedly in small moments until it becomes who you are. First, it's say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Identity before feeling. Decide who you are, a disciplined athlete, and then act from that identity. The feeling of motivation may or may not show up. Your actions don't wait for it. The Stoics also practice something called Askēsis, deliberate voluntary hardship, cold, hunger, discomfort, not as punishment, but as training to prove to themselves that they could act without comfort. Every time you train on a day you don't feel like it, you're doing exactly that. 3 things you can take into your training this week. 1. Kill the negotiation. The moment you start bargaining with yourself about whether to train, maybe tomorrow, maybe shorter, maybe easier, you've already lost. Stoics called this the inner tyrant. Don't debate, just start. The first 5 minutes decide everything. 2. Build identity anchors. Write down, specifically, the kind of athlete you are, not want to be are. I am someone who trains on hard days. Read it before you're tempted to skip. You're not making a choice in that moment. You're confirming a fact about yourself. 3. Embrace one uncomfortable thing daily. Cold shower, early alarm, extra set when you want to quit. Not because it helps performance, though it might, but because it builds the muscle of doing hard things without needing to feel ready first. Motivation is a visitor. Discipline is a resident. One shows up when conditions are perfect. The other shows up regardless. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Stop arguing with yourself about whether today is the right day. It is. The Stoics didn't build empires, endure slavery, or outlast every hardship life handed them by waiting to feel ready. They just showed up again and again and again. Now, it's your turn. This is Stoic Athlete. If this episode hit different, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Episode 48 drops soon. See you there.